When it comes to teens and good nutrition, it's important to pump up the protein, but there's also another nutrient that is essential that you might not know so much about. And back in the kitchen with Rachel Meltzer Warren. Rachel is a registered dietitian, and she's also the author of The Smart Girl's Guide to Going Vegetarian. Tips for new teen vegetarians and their parents. Nice to have you here, Rachel.
Hi, nice to be here.
So before we get cooking, tell me a little bit about the history of the book. What made you write it?
Sure. So I wrote this book because I became a vegetarian when I was 12 years old. Not a very good one in retrospect, and that really led me to become a nutritionist. And in my career, I realized that there were no great resources for teenagers who were contemplating vegetarianism.
And at 12 years old, was there something that kind of sparked your interest, or what made you do this?
Yeah, well, you know, I always had an interest in animal rights, but the real moment for me was when my parents decided to buy leather couches, and I was just really highly offended.
You had enough, huh?
Kind of just decided that was it, and I was done. Yeah.
And you stuck with it.
I stuck with it. Yeah, it lasted.
All right. So we mentioned how important it is to get protein in your diet, even though if you're not having meat. Let's talk about some other ways to do so.
Yes, so protein is found in many plant-based foods. People often don't realize, you know, they think that going vegetarian means that you're going to have a really hard time getting protein in your diet.
Peanut butter, right?
Peanut butter, yeah, and other nuts also are good sources. Beans, legumes, those are one of the most important sources for vegetarians. So chickpeas, black beans, white beans, kidney beans, you know, there's a whole array of them. Soy products, so edamame, tofu. Tempeh is one that people aren't as familiar with, but is also a really good one.
Sure. And you also say it's important to have iron in your diet.
Yes. Iron is the nutrient that people just don't think of, but is probably the most important for vegetarians to pay attention to.
And where do you find iron in what types of food?
Sure. So iron is in beans, it's in soy products, it happens to be in a lot of the same things that plant-based protein is in. But 3/4 of teenage girls in the United States don't get enough iron, so particularly vegetarians have an even harder time getting it since it's predominantly found in so many meat foods.
All right, so today we're making an Asian salad minus the chicken. How do we get started?
Yeah, so I've pre-chopped some of our ingredients.
Looks pretty easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. When somebody does half the work for you, it's really easy. So we're going to start with about 3 cups of chopped romaine lettuce. And then you can toss in, if you'd like, the red pepper. I've just sliced up some red bell pepper.
Okay.
And then let's next add the orange. I have about 1/2 an orange sliced up. And the reason why we're using these 2 ingredients, aside from just adding color and flavor, is that they are, they are high in vitamin C, which helps your body absorb iron. So it means that iron that you're eating is even, you know, does even more in your body.
Into your system, right?
Exactly. It can do its job. Then why don't we add, so on this plate I have edamame, which is another name for soybeans.
Got it.
And those, like we said, are a good source of protein and iron. And right next to them, I have some chopped water chestnuts, which add some fiber, mostly crunch. They're mostly there for the texture.
Sounds good.
Thank you. And then we're also going to add some scallions. Also,
looks very pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful, nice and colorful. And if you can just reach over there, we have our sliced snow peas.
Now they all go in, just the sliced ones?
Just the sliced ones, yeah. I left the whole ones there just so we could
figure out what they look like, right?
Exactly, so when people go to the store, they know what they're looking for.
Got it.
Perfect. And then we have some cashews, and cashews, in addition to, you know, just having some great flavor and crunch, they're also a good source of zinc, which is another nutrient that vegetarians kind of need to be on the lookout for.
Got it.
It's important for immunity. So. What else do we have? Yes, that is it for now. So next we're going to move on to our dressing.
Yes.
So for the dressing, we're doing a sesame dressing, and we're just going to do equal parts. So for this, we'll do about 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar. We will do 1 tablespoon of olive oil.
Okay. Are there any benefits to rice wine vinegar? Is there?
You know, no particular benefits. It's just more for the flavor. It gives it kind of that Asian flavor. It's a little lighter than other vinegars as well.
Okay.
And we'll use 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. The oils in here, you know, the olive oil has a lot of polyphenols, monounsaturated fats that are good for your heart, help counter inflammation in the body. The sesame oil is mostly there for the flavor.
You could definitely smell this. It's quite an aroma.
Exactly.
Ooh, it's great.
Really nice.
And I see honey. Are we sweetening this up?
Honey, yeah, we're going to sweeten it up just a little bit. So 1 tablespoon of that honey. And once we get all that in there, I will ask you to whisk
I can do that. I'm a good whisker.
Perfect.
Pretty easy. And is this going to go directly on the salad, or when you plate it, or how do you typically do it?
That will go right on the salad. So I'll actually toss this up a little bit.
This is very healthy. Is this going to fill you up?
It is, you know, because the protein from the soybeans and the nuts and the sesame seeds that we haven't added yet, but will also add some satiety, which is the problem. You know, when a lot of restaurants have this Chinese chicken salad kind of dish, and I know so many vegetarians who will order it without the chicken, except they're basically left with some lettuce, some
missing the main
noodles,
point, right?
and they're really hungry once they're done eating because
Sure.
they've taken out all the substance. Okay, I think that's just right.
Pour it right on?
Pour it right on. There you go.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so we'll just give that another little good toss. Try not to get too much on the table. And then once we plate it, so we'll just get some in a serving dish.
Oh, and you finish it off with the sesame and the noodles.
Exactly. So then we finish it off with some Chinese noodles.
A little more crunch, right?
A little more crunch. You could buy them at the store, or you know, if you have leftover from takeout Chinese food.
That
and
works.
some sesame seeds that I love adding because they also give that crunch and that flavor, but they are a really good source of iron as well.
Well, it looks wonderful, Rachel.
And
We'll
there's your
dig in.
salad.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
The name of the book again is The Smart Girl's Guide to Going Vegetarian. Fantastic. It smells great. All right.
Right?